The video I watched was called How to Escape Education's Death Valley by Ken Robinson, and it was very informative in talking about the current educational state of the U.S. and where we're headed. He opens up by talking about No Child Left Behind and how it was really an ironic act. In fact, that most places in the U.S., we still have 60% of students dropping out, 80% of African American students dropping out, and these, to me, were very intimidating numbers. And it's not that we're spending more money or spending less money on students or that we have bigger class sizes like a lot of people think, but instead it's because our students are disengaged. And so he goes into talking about 3 principles for which human life flourishes that we currently in the U.S. as teachers don't address. The first one is that human beings are naturally different and diverse. Under No Child Left Behind, we have not considered diversity, but instead we've conformed. We've narrowed the focus of STEM disciplines and not given equal weight to the arts, the humanities, physical education, music, etc. We have, instead of finding the ability in disability and appreciating those with disabilities, we have decided that disabilities like ADHD have become an epidemic rather than addressing and individualizing education for these students. When we put a label on a kid like this, he talks about how it's really they're suffering from their childhood. We're not allowing them to be different or to have the same habits that they have as an individual. Kids profit best from curriculum that allows them to have these habits, that allows them to act the way they act, not conform to what we expect them to. The second piece he talks about is that kids have a natural curiosity. Something very powerful he talks about is that if you can light the spark of curiosity in a child, they will learn without further assistance most often. Children are natural learners, and that curiosity is an engine of achievement. It's a teacher's job to engage, stimulate a child, and he talks about how if there's no learning going on, then there's no education going on. And teaching can be seen in this part. He talks a lot about the job of a teacher, and teaching can be seen as a task or it can be seen as a way of achievement. And the role of the teacher is to facilitate the learning, combine teaching and testing, and that testing shouldn't dominate the culture of education. We should allow kids to be curious. We should allow opportunity for them to ask questions, and that we should support learning and not let curiosity obstruct it. The third piece he talks about that I really, really like is that human beings are naturally creative. It's what makes us interesting, diverse, and dynamic. And the job of education is to awaken and develop powers for creativity. But instead what we've done is created a culture of standardization. We've done this through all the testing we do, all the college prep we do for kids. And it's actually not what other systems do. We've heard a lot about how Finland is very, very high, well respected for education. And he talks about the reasons why they don't obsess about education. They don't obsess about math and science and reading and writing, and instead they support other things besides the core curriculum, the humanities, the arts, languages. They take the standard out of standardized testing, and they don't have standardized testing. They don't have a dropout rate, which I thought was really surprising. And then he moves it more outwards outside of Finland. He talks about high-performing systems do things that we don't, and maybe that's perhaps why we are at where we're at with education. Other places that are well respected for education individualize teaching and learning. They attribute very high status to the teaching profession, which we see today as teachers not being valued. We're just a cost. And instead, he talks about how we shouldn't be a cost, but we should be an investment. And other countries see it like that. We need to put the power back where it belongs, and it's in the hands of teachers and students, not in the outside systems. Which brings me to, go back to the title of Death Valley, which I was completely blown away when I got to this point. But what happened is he talks about how, back when NCLB was created, that nothing grows. Nothing has grown from it. Nothing has changed it. And so instead, we're in this place that we could call Death Valley, but it's really not dead. It's kind of dormant. And that Death Valley right now, education in the U.S., is seeds awaiting for possibility and conditions to come about. We need a change in our system. We need a change in our schools. And it's going to take great teachers, great students, and the relationships in the schools to make them come to life. We need to create a climate of possibility. And once there are movers, people like me, people like us, we can create a movement, which in turn will create a revolution. And that is what will change the face of education in the U.S. today.